Hello, and welcome to Tales from the World's Firesides. Today, in particular, we are going to see a story from Romania. As you know, as a storyteller, I try and find and preserve old folk tales, in case they sometimes become a little bit forgotten, but mostly as a way of sharing culture around the world. So settle in by the fire, maybe make a hot drink, and join me as we share the story from Romania, the Deadpool. The Deadpool. Once, when the trees were bursting into leaf, this district was thick with sheep. Flock after flock passed through, watched over by sturdy shepherds well known in these parts. Then, one springtide, a stranger appeared, as beautiful as a god, with a cloak on his shoulders as white as snow. Everyone wondered, who is he? Where has he come from? Stories travelled from mouth to mouth until the mystery began to clear. In the valley of the Tempe, so it was said, he had wandered with his sheep and fallen in love with the lovely Vergea. Mad with that love, when her family moved for the winter, he followed her into the mountains. He came with a comrade, roamed for a time, and at last set up his sheepfold here, in this place. Now where had that fame of Vergea of Gramuște not reached? It seemed as if every beauty of nature had given her a gift. The blue of the sky was in her eyes, the shadow of the woods lay in the mystery of their deep shining gaze, and the setting sun was the gold of her soft hair. The springs were in the sound of her silvery laugh, and drawn by such charms, every young man threw himself at Vergea's feet, but she did not care, and only when her eyes fell on the shepherd did her young heart flare with longing. Day after day, from the high ground above the fold, the sound of a flute could be heard. In the stillness of dusk, it stirred strange desires in the girl's breast. Then she would slip out of the house, and the shepherd himself would come down towards Gramuște. Now, around this time, a storm broke loose, such as no one had ever seen. The peaks seemed to rattle, as if the mountains were shifting places and striking one another with a noise like thunder. So it went on for 3 days, and only on the 4th day, late in the evening, could the shepherd leave the fold. He had taken only a few steps when a sight met his eyes beside a pool of water, a great fire, and by it a shadowy figure. Suddenly the phantom spoke, pointing at the spit it held above the heap of glowing coals. "The heart of the spirit of Deniscu," said the phantom. In a flash, the shepherd understood the meaning of the hurricane of the last days. The guardian spirits of the mountains had fought, and one had been overthrown. The shadow spoke again. "Turn this spit so that I may rest a while. Do not taste the heart, for if you touch it, you will die at once." And the shadow fell into a deep sleep. The shepherd stood by the fire, looking fearfully all around him. Far off in the pale blue sky a star broke away and fell with a long tail of fire and went out. "Someone will die," sighed the shepherd. The words of the spirit flashed through his mind. He said, "if I taste that heart, perhaps the opposite is true, who knows?" So thinking, he touched the heart on the spit with his finger and brought his finger to his mouth. The sensation was beyond anything he had known. He laughed and then quickly ate the whole heart. At once, a cruel passion rose in him against the sleeping spirits. On the spot he killed it and took the creature's heart as well. Immediately, the strength of a giant filled him. The ground trembled under his steps, and voices in the air and voices from the water sounded all around. Creatures never seen before rose from the pool, and linking their white hands together, danced in whirling circles. In this changed state, he reached his comrade at the fold and tried to explain, but his thoughts were elsewhere, and his voice sounded as if it came from another world. He ended in broken words. "The water calls me. Tell no one what has happened to me. Take my flute, and if danger threatens, come to the pool and sing to me." Now, in the evenings that followed, Virginia saw nothing of the shepherd. She wondered at his absence, waiting for him day after day. Days passed that felt like weeks, and weeks like months, and still there was no word of him, until the poor girl took to her bed with grief. Then the comrade of the hills remembered the shepherd's words. At midnight he went to the pool and sang, and for a long time he sang. And towards dawn, as the flute's strains died away, there came from Gramushte the sound of 2 strokes of a bell, then another 2, then more in succession, mournful and drawn out. The echoes answered as if other bells were ringing in other places, passing from hill to hill until they reached the bottom of the pool. After a while, real words joined the sound of the bells, sobbing in rhythm. "Virginia is dead. Virginia is dead." And then he rose from the pool. Like the wind, he lifted his dead love in his arms and carried her far down into his translucent palace, where to this day small fiery points of light burn around the dead woman's head. To this day, if you stand beside this pool, you can catch the sound of the bells and their metallic words. "Virginia is dead. Virginia is dead." And so that's it for the story of the dead pool. This is one of my favourite stories for quite some time. The stories like this also remind us that people have always found ways to tell stories that touch our hearts, educate us, as well as filling us full of wonder and sometimes sorrow. Now you can explore my full collections of folklore, fairy tales, folk tales from around the world in print and digital format. And the link at the bottom of the screen there will take you to Amazon, where you can start to find out more. And if you're curious about the storyteller behind the mic, then drop by clivegilson.com. I'm always glad to connect. If today's tale stirred something in you, please do subscribe. Always much appreciated. And share your thoughts below. I love to read your comments. And pass the story along to friends as well. It always helps too. Thank you, though, as ever, for joining me at Tales from the World's Firesides. I've been Clive Gilson, the story guy. Until next time, stay well and keep the stories burning brightly.